They say you never really know what kind of neighbor you've got until money or property is on the line. And boy did I learn that lesson the hard way. For nearly 20 years I thought I had life figured out, retired early from the trades, picked up some side work installing solar panels, and spent my mornings on the dock of the little spring-fed lake that's been in my family since my grandfather's time. I fed the base, watched blue herons swoop over the cypress trees, and told myself I'd lucked out. Peace, quiet, and a patch of land no one could take from me. At least that's what I thought, until the neighborhood rolled in. See, about 15 years ago developers bought everything around me and built up this massive subdivision. Nearly 900 homes, all cookie-cutter mansions with granite countertops and matching mailboxes. Most of the folks were fine, just waved as they jogged past, and sometimes asked if the fish were biting. But then she moved in. Let's call her Diane Holloway. Diane was the kind of person who probably scheduled her own bathroom breaks. White SUV detailed twice a week, always in heels, always carrying a leather folder like she was negotiating treaties at the UN. Within 6 months, she'd crowned herself president of the brand new HOA, and that's when the game started. At first it was letters, official letterhead, certified mail, the whole act. According to Diane, my dock and my fishing activities were ruining the aesthetic harmony of the community. She actually wrote that phrase. Said her $800,000 lake view was being devalued by me catching dinner. I laughed, crumpled it up, and kept fishing. But the letters turned into threats. The threats turned into county complaints. And before long, I had inspectors showing up at sunrise asking about permits I'd had framed on my wall since the 80s. They all apologized and left shaking their heads, but Diane never stopped. When the legal stuff didn't scare me off, she switched tactics. Picture me at 6 in the morning, casting a line, birds singing, mist rising off the water, and suddenly 3 industrial mowers fire up right on the property line. Chainsaws buzzing, leaf blowers blasting. Every morning, like clockwork, until my backyard smelled more like diesel fumes than honeysuckle. She was trying to smoke me out. But I'm stubborn. This land was my grandfather's, and I wasn't going to let some suburban dictator bully me off it. Now here's where things got interesting. While Diane was busy throwing noise, lawyers, and Facebook gossip my way, I dug deeper into the old family records. And that's when I found it, the golden ticket. My grandfather hadn't just bought the land back in the 50s. He bought the water rights too. Every drop in that lake, every spring feeding it, even the underground aquifer that stretched under Diane's fancy subdivision. It was all legally mine. Which meant every time one of those 900 homes turned on a faucet, they were using my water without permission. I nearly dropped the deed when I realized what I was holding. So I called my lawyer buddy, and he laughed so hard he spilled coffee all over his desk. "You don't just have a defense," he said. "You've got a nuclear weapon." And he was right. But instead of swinging it around right away, I sat on it, waiting, watching, because I had a hunch Diane wasn't done. And I was right. One night while I was out of town, she hired a company, paid cash, middle of the night, to dump industrial algae killer straight into my lake. I came home the next morning, and the smell hit me before I even opened the truck door. It was metallic, chemical wrong. The water was this sickly blue-green color, and floating belly up was Big Molly, the Bayside fed for 3 years, the one that always came to the dock at sunrise. 200 other fish right behind her. I stood there shaking, holding Molly's slimy body in my hands, feeling like 70 years of family peace had just been murdered. But then something clicked. That same aquifer that kept my lake alive fed every single well in Diane's subdivision. Meaning her midnight chemical stunt didn't just kill my fish, she'd poisoned her own neighborhood's drinking water. And none of them knew it yet. That's when I decided to stop playing defense. I pulled together a team. An environmental lawyer who lived for cases like this, a hydrogeologist with more gadgets than NASA, and a local journalist who'd made a career out of taking down corrupt HOAs. We started lining up evidence. The old deed, security footage of the algae truck, lab reports showing copper sulfate way above safe levels. And just for fun, I recorded a little meeting where Diane tried to slide me a briefcase full of cash to resolve things quietly. Let's just say North Carolina's one-party recording law is a beautiful thing. The showdown came at a packed community meeting. The EPA had already tested the wells and confirmed the contamination. Parents were furious. Kids were getting sick. Pets wouldn't drink the tap water. Property values were tanking overnight. Diane sat at the front in her designer suit, trying to keep her composure, but she had that cornered animal look. I stood up, held up my grandfather's deed, and told the whole room, "Every drop of water you've been using for the last 15 years legally belongs to me. And the person who poisoned it is sitting right there." You could have heard a pin drop. Then the sheriff's deputy walked over and served Diane with federal charges. Her face went ghost white, then red. Then she started screaming about rednecks and conspiracies while the cameras rolled. She was arrested that night. Embezzlement, environmental crimes, obstruction, you name it. Her husband filed for divorce. The HOA booted her, and eventually she pled guilty. 3 years in federal prison, 5 years probation, law license gone for good. The neighborhood got a new board, one that actually cared about transparency, and together we funded a full restoration of the lake. Today the water's cleaner than it's been in decades. Kids from the subdivision come fish on Saturdays, and every spring we host a festival celebrating the place my grandfather built. Funny how something so ugly can turn into something worth sharing. Looking back, I still get this knot in my chest thinking about that morning I found Big Molly floating by the dock. But then I remember the packed room, the hush when I read from that old deed, and the way Diane's world collapsed the moment she realized her own arrogance had poisoned the very people she claimed to protect. That was justice. Not revenge, not pettiness, just the truth finally catching up. Now I've told you my story, but here's where I hand it over to you. Was I right to forgive those families the back payments for 15 years of stolen water? Or should I have held them accountable too? Do you think people like Diane are born tyrants? Or does power just twist them that way? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear where you stand, because stories like this aren't just mine. They happen in towns all over America, and maybe your story's the next one worth telling.